What's up, guys? Welcome back to today's episode of the Sports Sermon. Today, we are getting into the Washington Wizards signing the biggest head case in the league in Dwight Howard to pair up with John Wall and Bradley Beal. But before we get into it, I want to promote our Sports Sermon Twitter. It's where you're going to find all of the latest info that we're putting out there. All 30 NBA teams are going to get a preview. All 32 NFL teams. Every college football team. Check that out and more. Follow us on Twitter and YouTube at the Sports Sermon, sports with a Z. I'm Jason Gandhi. Dylan Saggy's with me today. Dylan, the Wizards have run back the same core for a while now with no real progress. Do you think it's time to break up John Wall, Bradley Beal, and Otto Porter Jr.?
I think this should be the last year for those three together, unless they do something crazy good. Because after this season, all but 4 players' contracts will expire on the Wizards, and they still have $107 million committed to them. It'll be Porter, Beal, Wall, and Ian Mahinmi.
Everyone else is gone.
Besides that, they have no one else coming back. So it's going, and with that $107 million still committed to those guys, building the rest of the team is going to be extremely tough for the Wizards to do.
You use bird rights on Kelly Oubre and stuff like that. They're realistically probably like 9 guys.
I don't know about that. I mean, they're not going to be able to re-sign Austin Rivers, Markieff Morris. I mean, it's just going to be very hard to keep that team together, and I don't even know if you want to keep them together because last year they were only the 8th seed in a bad Eastern Conference. So I think this year it doesn't make sense because it'd be so hard to get rid of those guys to try and blow things up now. But you might want to start taking a closer look at it next offseason if they don't have a great season this year.
Yeah, see, I think differently. I've wanted this Wizards team to be good for so long and have backed them for so long, where now I think enough's enough. I think they seem to fall short every year, and I'd probably try and move Beal at the right time, but with no rush. Maybe inquire about a Bradley Beal, Kelly Oubre Jr., and something else for Kawhi. I don't know. I don't know if the Spurs do it. I don't know if the Wizards do it. But I think the end of the core should be near because we've done this so many years in a row. I've been a supporter. I thought the Wizards could upset the Raptors in round 1. Dylan knows it. I really have been a believer in these Wizards the last 3-4 years. They fall short, and so I'm ready for them to blow it up. I think you really do inquire about Kawhi. Bradley Beal, Kelly Oubre, and maybe a pick later for Kawhi is not bad for either side.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at that John Wall contract that they're committed to for so long
He's
now.
Worth it.
That's going to be hard. In 2022 and 2023, he's going to be making $46 million.
Yeah, that's a max contract. He's definitely worth that. John Wall is worth a max contract. Hold up now.
I mean, he's on the lower tier of that.
What?
Being worth a max contract.
Have you looked at some max guys in this league? And you're going to tell me he's not worth it. Harrison Barnes on a max contract.
Okay, first of all, that's a different max contract.
How is that different?
John Wall has the super max. Harrison Barnes will be making like $25 million next year.
I'm saying he's a max contract guy. You're going to give Chris Paul that when he's going to be 37. You're not going to give John Wall this?
Chris Paul is better than John Wall.
Not when he's 37. In 2022, whatever year that was, Chris Paul would have made at 37 years old, he would have made $47 million.
Yeah,
that's worth that.
I never said that was worth it for Chris Paul.
Yes, you did. Before then, you wanted the Rockets to give him the 5-year max. But
if that's what it took to re-sign him.
John
yes.
Wall is 1,000% worth the supermax. There's just not a debate there, in my opinion. I think Bradley Beal is the guy you have to move. I think a team of Kawhi, and then Dwight Howard is probably the most boomer bust lineup ever to be created. Wall's got off the court teammate issues. Kawhi just got kicked like White out of the Spurs, and Dwight Howard's a head case. Be one heck of a talented team. I'm all for it. You keep Otto Porter Jr. there, or you trade him instead of Oubre. Either way, I think that's a trade you have to look at. Would you do that for either team? Like, who's saying no to that? Beal, Oubre Jr., and a first-round pick later for Kawhi Leonard.
I think you've... I don't know. That's a solid deal for the Spurs.
Because what if the Spurs make it better? Do you like Brandon Ingram or Bradley Beal better?
probably Brandon Ingram for the future. I mean, we still really don't know what the Spurs necessarily
They've got to get something. They have to get something.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but whether they're looking towards the future or looking towards now, that's got to be a question they want to answer.
I think Beal can get you both. I don't know. When I was just thinking through this, I was like, Beal and Oubre make a lot of sense for both sides.
But even then, that's one more player that's going to have an expiring contract after this season.
But you bank against him.
And who knows if you...
But then you lose Beal's contract, and you can sign again.
If you want Kawhi Leonard to sign back,
John
Wall and Dwight Howard are two of the not players that I would want to send him with to try and
John Wall and Kawhi Leonard, I think, are the third best team in the East. I would take them over the Raptors in a heartbeat. The Wizards, if they got Kawhi Leonard, would be the third best team in the East.
Yeah.
John Wall and Kawhi Leonard. I think.
But what happens when Kawhi Leonard leaves?
Then you got money. Then Beal's gone. Then you just do you rebuild the whole roster. That's what I'm saying. Then you get rid of Beal's contract.
But I mean, if you think Beal should be the one gone, I don't agree with that. But
you think Wall should be the one gone?
I mean, possibly. I don't know. I think they have to make a decision on that later. But I think you play out this season. If you do get that offer, that would be something to consider.
If I'm the Wizards, I'm offering that to the Spurs. I'm saying Beal, Oubre, one pick. What do you say for Kawhi? I think it's interesting. Let's go to the guy that the Wizards signed. The Wizards signed Dwight Howard on a low-risk deal. Are you worried about Wall and Howard clashing?
I mean, maybe they'll be able to put aside their egos. Not necessarily like their personalities clashing. I wouldn't say I'd have like a problem with, but when they start losing games, they're not.
Fingers are pointing everywhere.
Yes, that's what I'm worried about. Late January, February, before the All-Star break.
The dog days.
Let's say the Wizards lose 5 straight. That's going to be a toxic locker room, and their season could just fall apart right then. That's the biggest thing I'm worried about with them.
Yeah, so first I want to say nothing can be worse than Wall and Gortat. That was such a bad relationship. Gortat and Wall hated each other. So now Howard comes in, but Howard's had an issue with every single locker room he's been in since Orlando. I hope it works out. Dylan, you know I'm a huge John Wall guy. I've always liked him since he got drafted in 2010 or 2011. I highly doubt it works, though, because Howard is so toxic in locker rooms. I'm worried about what happens to the Wizards with Dwight Howard there. I do think this is going to be an issue. I agree with you. Let's go on to what we see coming through this year. Can the Wall, Beal, Porter Jr., Oubre, Dwight Howard core really compete in the East, and what do you see realistically for the Wizards next season?
I mean, if everything goes perfectly, they're still only looking at about a 4 or 5 seed. I think you give this season one more go, and if it doesn't work, you try to trade one of the 3.
Yeah, so I think they're in that third tier of teams in the East. I worry about Howard, like I said. I think they're obviously below Toronto, Philly, and Boston. Those 3 are in a different tier. Then I think they're even below the Pacers and the Heat as sleepers to really compete, to be sleepers in the East, to upset Toronto, upset Philly, upset Boston. I just do not trust Howard, but boy, do I hope I'm wrong. I've wanted this Wizards team to be good for so long and have backed them to where now I feel like enough's enough. And I think they come in as a 6 through 8 seed, like them, the Hornets, the Bucks. Who else did I have that was in there? I mean, just those type of teams that'll fight for those 6 through 8 seeds and then just lose in the second round at best. Most likely first round. If they somehow win the first round, definitely lose the second round.
So what do you think happens with the core?
I'm telling you, I think you got to try and trade one of them right now. Ship one. But if not, I think you obviously keep John Wall. You try and keep Oubre. And I like Otto Porter Jr. more than most, I think. So I think Beal's the guy that has to go out. I don't really trust Beal. Like, I would take DeMar DeRozan over Bradley Beal. I'd take Victor Oladipo over Bradley Beal. I'd take a lot of guys over Bradley Beal, where I wouldn't say the same thing about John Wall in the East. So I think I would get rid of Beal first if I had to get rid of one.
Okay, I don't really have a strong opinion on which one. It's just going to be so hard to build the roster if you keep all 3.
Yeah. And the thing is, what happens when they're a 7 seed and they lose to the Sixers? then they're going to do it again. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, something's got to change this offseason unless just everything goes perfect and they have a great season.
I hope they do. I've said it a bunch on here. I really hope the Wizards succeed finally. That's going to do it. The Southeast Division, is that what this is? Yeah, Southeast Division is officially completed. All 5 teams are up on YouTube. Check them out. We've got the Central Division coming next week, then the Atlantic Division, then we'll go over to the West. So all of that and more. Thank you for listening. I'm Jason. That's Dylan. Follow us on Twitter @TheSportsSermon. We'll see you next week.